What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Among the Fence. Today we're going to be checking out the album Death Atlas by the band Cattle Decapitation. Cattle Decapitation started around 1996. They're from San Diego, and this is their 7th studio album. And they also fall under a couple different subgenres of metal, which is always extremely debatable, but I always consider them to be like extreme metal or technical death metal. I always consider them to fall under one of those two more than anything else. I'm not really a fan of technical death metal or grindcore or extreme metal or anything that is close to any of those categories. So I never really listened to Cattle Decapitation all that much. I always knew who they were, and I've heard a couple of their more popular songs, but I never listened to an album all the way through. But when my friend Tom suggested that I give this album a review on my Facebook page, I was actually pretty excited about it, probably because I never listened to an album all the way through, and I never actually cared to figure anything out about the band. So it's kind of a learning experience for me too. So I started out listening to most of all of their albums. I skipped a few songs once I kind of got the gist of it and kind of figured out what they sounded like in the past. So I had something to go off of other than the fact that they just do extreme metal and this is just their new album. And after going through this album, I kind of figured that it's kind of a concept album, but it's not like a fantasy concept album as much as it's a more futuristic reality of what we're living in now. And the concept that I think that this is about is that the Earth is dying due to global warming and climate change and mankind not taking care of it nearly as well as we should. And everything is basically destroyed. It's all our fault. We're all to blame for the most part, especially political leaders. It's a pretty political album. And the people who can change it either don't, or it's just too late and the damage can't be repaired. But the people who can change it are in charge of different corporations, and they're referred to as the shit-stained man, which is one of the lyrics from the song Vulturous, which I think is like the 3rd song on the album, which is all politically based. Even though I don't agree with a lot of the lyrics that are in this album, at least to the extreme of what they're pushing, I do feel that the lyrics are really well written and they do fit the songs really, really well. And the way how they're vocally delivered over the entire album is it's really well done. They can feel lazy at times, but nonetheless, they're no nonsense. They cut straight to the point. Like if you don't even listen to this album and you go through and you just read the lyrics, it's like reading a book almost. As far as songwriting goes and the music on this album, it's really weird for me because this never really happens. But the first half of the album was just kind of meh. It was just whatever. And then the second half of the album for me just really took off, which is, like I said, it's weird because normally I fall in love with the first half of almost any album, and then the second half I kind of struggle to even make it through. Once we get to the song One Day Closer to the End of the World, which is the 6th song on the album, things started to take off for me, and honestly it just continually got better throughout the rest of the album. The songwriting gets better, the riffs become better, the vocals become less rinse and repeat, and they become more randomized. You can't really tell like where the song's going to go next, and it feels just a lot more pieced together instead of almost thrown together like the first half of the album felt for me. My favorite song on the album, Bring Back the Plague, literally just towers over every song that came before it in this album. It is so well written. It's unbelievable. It was like a breath of fresh air for me. The vocals in it are superb. The drum work is fantastic and not overly repetitive. The riffs slap extremely hard. The guitar work has some awesome passages, especially in like more of the background work and the undertones, especially the way how it's mixed. It's really cool if you pay attention to just what's happening in the background of the drums and the rhythm guitar and the rest of the music and the vocals and stuff. It's actually pretty cool the way how they made it all work together. The song Finish Them has one of the fattest, juiciest riffs I've heard in a very long time. Finish Them is kind of weird because it's so musical, which the rest of the album, like honestly, it really isn't. Extreme metal is very drum-based, very fast rhythm pacing, and this song is very musical. So it just kind of feels out of place on this album. That song on this album, which is the title track, Death Atlas, is not my favorite song, but I will admit it is probably the best song that I would say Cattle Decapitation has ever done, which you could take that with a grain of salt, because like I said, I just very loosely listened to the rest of their albums before listening to this one, but I mean, it is fantastic. The lyrics, even though they're straightforward, they're more poetic and they're very well written. The song structure is amazing. The guitar riffs are heavy and fat as could be, and also not repetitive. They seem to always be changing. The drum work is superb. The lead guitar undertones are very, very captivating, even though also, like in all the other songs, they're more hidden in the background than anything else. The bridge slash kind of interlude part of this song is very, very atmospheric, mostly due to the drums and the rhythm of it, but the vocals in it and just how atmospheric it is very, very enveloping. It just, you start listening even harder than you were before. You just want to see where the song's going to go, when it's going to pick up again, and it's captivating. And the main reason why I don't particularly care for this style of music is because of the lack of creativity that goes into music, especially in the rhythm and the drum. It's all very repetitive, very bland, and very boring to me. But the last half of this album is extremely diverse, even though it has kind of the same just really fast drum patterns and very fast rhythm work on the guitar, which does kind of fall flat, but at the same time it adds to the diversity because the rest of it's different musically, so it just complements itself really well. Like I said, the first half of this album just fell completely flat for me. I just felt like a very generic extreme metal album to me. Every drum passage, every guitar passage was just very fast, very repetitive, felt lazy, felt like this is just the style of music we do and this is how we're going to do it over and over and over again. And it was very much rinse and repeat in the song structure when it came from verse to chorus, verse, bridge, chorus. It was just very lacking. And that's not to say the first half of this album wasn't 100% trash. The song Genocide has some really cool riffs, has a cool breakdown. Again, the lyrics are well written. It does sound good, but it just felt generic to me. So if this is the kind of sound that you like, if you like extreme metal or grindcore, then you're probably going to love the hell out of this first half, and you might actually not like the second half. And this album had not one, not two, but three interlude songs, which I already hate is actually kind of a weak word for interludes for me. I don't know why. I've always just hated them. Every time I listen to an album in full and I fall in love with the album, and if it does have an interlude song, I skip over it. I've never listened to an interlude more than once. And like I said, this one had three in it, which kind of made me hate myself, especially since they were mostly just global warming advertisements. They just didn't carry any substance. I guess they fit in the album well, but musically for me, it was just kind of a waste of time. Since this album is basically split down the middle for me, I didn't love the last half. I enjoyed it a lot, especially a lot more than the first half. But at the same time, after listening to all their other albums, it just didn't quite hold up nearly as much as I enjoyed basically the rest of their discography. So I feel like an album like this, rating it a 5.8 is pretty appropriate. Given the fact that I don't really listen to this style of music at all, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to, especially going through their old music. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a lot better than I remember it being. And honestly, I can find myself going back and listening to some of their older albums frequently, at least more than I would this one. So let me know what you guys think. Have you heard this album before? Did you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think of it compared to their older stuff? If you haven't listened to it and you're willing to take the plunge into the extreme death metal genre thing, go ahead and give it a try and let me know what you think. I wish you the best of luck. I highly suggest that you listen to their older stuff first, though. And if you have a favorite album or you're looking forward to a new album coming out soon, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what it is, and I'll review it for you and we'll make it happen. And I hope you guys had a good Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is you celebrated. If you don't celebrate anything, then hope you had a good hump day. And if you want to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notified whenever I do upload. And I'll see you guys next time.
I was strong, an ignorant kid relying on